Welcome to Small Business, Big Network, the podcast for small business owners who want big results from their networking. I'm Liz Drury, a freelance voiceover artist who knows that if you're not working, then networking could help. This week's episode is kindly sponsored by Barry Cryan, the CEO and founder of Do More Better, and last week's guest as it happens. Barry helps busy business owners reclaim their time. Listen out for more information partway through today's interview. Rachael Dines is the founder of Shake It Up Creative, a marketing and design company based in Worthing. Her best advice for networking is not to overthink it. Just be brave and go in there. Thank you very much for being my guest on the podcast today, Rachael.
You're so welcome.
Now, you run a marketing, design and web company. Have you always worked in that kind of sector?
I suppose I have really, yes. I started when I was a lot younger in promotions work, which is, it related.
Yeah.
And then that eventually just moved into the marketing field fully.
And what attracted you to marketing?
Well, it's a funny story because I wasn't actually looking at marketing. Like many of us when we're younger, we have these career goals and for one reason or another, they don't really happen and you end up doing something else. But it was that I actually wanted to work in television.
Right.
And I did spend 4 years trying to get into that industry and doing some free work experience and building up contacts and things. But it was a slog in terms of the commute. It was a very, very low starting position that I would need to do to work my way up. And it just became more transparent that it was really about who you knew and not what you knew. So, yeah, it changed.
Yeah, all about your network then, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
So tell me about who you worked for and what you've done in your career journey.
Okay, yeah. So when I first started in marketing, I was actually coming out of more of an administrative role, and I was offered the opportunity to work for a professional basketball team, so professional sports, helping them, with their marketing in like a marketing assistant role. And that was the first. Well, I mean, I'd say that I did do a few things before that, but I'd say that was really the proper kind of I'm in charge of the marketing role, if that makes sense. And from there, after that, I actually went into a publishing company, which happened to be one of the sponsors of the team, and they approached me. And it was very good timing because, unfortunately, as great a time as we had with that club, that basketball wasn't supported well enough in the UK. There was a lot of money problems in it, and it just wasn't really going to last as a business. So as much as they tried, eventually the money ran out and the club folded, and I got out just in time. So I was very lucky. And I went to a classified publishing company and ended up running one of their channels there. So it was online and offline. And I learnt in that role about SEO for the first time. And then I went on to several marketing roles after that. So I did software, I did specialist travel, a few things. And then when I was in my software role in Brighton, it was the last recession, so 2008, 2009, and I got called into a room to say, we're going to have to cut the marketing budget, and unfortunately that means we've got to cut your role, so we're making you redundant. And it happens, obviously, but for me it wasn't the best timing because I was very early pregnant, about 7 weeks. So they got HR into the room, as they should, and they really did look after me. They were amazing. I couldn't complain at all, and I was able to qualify for statutory maternity pay and actually set myself up as freelance during that time that I was just working out my notice.
Right.
So they were fabulous.
Yeah. So had you ever thought about going freelance before that, or were you just kind of pushed into it?
I was very much pushed into it, and I very much saw it as a temporary thing. So I was sitting there at my desk with my spreadsheet thinking, okay, if I charge this per hour and I actually manage to get this many hours work, how long can I sustain this for? And then when would I need to go back into employed role? And I just gave myself almost like a fixed period of time, but it didn't turn out that way. It turned out better because I really enjoyed it. I had clients straight away. I realized that there was this freedom that came with it
Mhm.
and this control, and I didn't look back.
Yeah. And how has marketing changed over the years that you've been involved in the sector?
Oh, good question. I mean, it's evolving all the time. It is such a vast field that it's actually very hard to keep up with all of the developments in all of the different parts of it. And, they do say it's better to specialize. My background was quite broad, and so I never particularly specialized in whether it was like outbound or inbound or
Mm.
digital or traditional. I've very much been a kind of all-rounder the whole time. And I think it's evolved through the periods over the years of being like that is important and then that's not important and then that is important again
Mhm.
and then it's not. And it's just the obviously the technology's advanced immensely during that time as well. We were when I first started marketing, we weren't really dealing with social media. We certainly
Mm.
weren't dealing with influencers, and
Yeah.
now they're to a penny. Lots of things like that. And SEO, I mean, the conference I go to is held twice a year because that much
Yeah.
changes and that quickly. So that says it all, really.
Yeah. Yeah. So when did your current business, Shake It Up, come about?
So I launched this company in 2015. I spent a year with a business partner preparing, and we didn't want to just chuck something out there
Mm.
and hope for the best. We wanted it to be a little bit different to other things and very considered, and have some really good, morals and values behind it.
Mhm.
And so we did it really properly. And I think that is a part of me as well, because when I went freelance, again, I didn't just start the doing. I branded myself. I had my website. I got out networking. I did it all properly then.
Yeah.
And then I did it all properly again 6 years later.
So who do you work with now? Who are your clients?
So our specialist sectors are arts and culture and charity and hospitality. They can be tough industries. They're the ones I would say I'm most passionate about. I also have other bits of work. So I do things with the public sector. I do a lot of advisory work. I sit on the West Sussex Economic Board and get involved with all sorts of other things. So although there are primary sectors, we do have clients from other industries like engineering and trades, etc., that do come to work with us as well. And I don't think it's a case of just saying yes to everything, but if the same practical things apply and that knowledge applies, then I don't see the harm in spreading out to that,
Mhm.
if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell me what you do for them.
Oh, it can range. So we've had people that have come along and said, "Oh, I've booked a page in a magazine and I need an advert designing. Can you do that?" And that's literally been all we've done. And then we have people that have gone through a complete rebrand with a whole new website that's been optimized for search and done the whole kind of shebang, as it were.
Mhm.
I've done a big campaign for our local council as well, and that was all around the digital infrastructure in the area. So that was fairly complex, but a really good one to get our teeth stuck into. And I had to actually build a team for that. So yeah, it is quite a broad range from tiny to bigger scale things.
Yeah. And I guess you work with them for all sorts of different lengths of time as well.
Yeah, definitely. And some people will come to us and say, "Look, I've never done marketing before. I don't really know what I need, and I just need to just test the water." And that's absolutely fine as long as they're happy to listen to our advice and work. We like to work collaboratively,
Mhm.
and just have a nice partnership. Then we're not going to tie people in and say, "Nope, you absolutely have to work with us for a year." We're not like that. We
Mhm.
we like to be flexible. We do a lot of work with smaller businesses, so we get it. Sometimes the budget is finite, and that's that.
Yeah.
So we'll do the very best job we can, whatever the budget is. And if they love it and it works out for them, great, they might continue, or they might need to go away and just save up for the next phase.
Mhm.
And that's fine too.
Yeah. So whereabouts are you based and where are your clients?
We are based in Worthing in West Sussex, but our clients are they can be spread out. So, sometimes up in London and the city, a lot are down in Sussex. We have had a couple overseas as well, but I'd say we're dominant down here. Our network is down here,
Hmm.
and most of our clients, and because there's referrals, they're often based in Sussex.
Yeah, yeah. And so, what kind of results are you getting for your clients?
Oh, good question. There's been loads of brilliant things. And I will be very honest, we have had a couple of projects that have essentially failed as well.
Mm.
And I think that is it's good to be truthful about that
Mm.
because marketing doesn't always work. And sometimes you might try a tactic that just isn't right for that particular thing.
Hmm.
So we have had a couple of those, but others have been, seeing people just be able to launch a new product or expand their range or reach a new portion of the market and see growth there. Sometimes it's very much about just building visibility, so it
Hmm.
can be their social media presence if that's important to them, or it could be how they're appearing in search, and then we're looking at how many rankings they're getting and where we can push those up to. Obviously, it's a bit of a different ball game now with AI in the mix, but we're
Mm.
still the principles still apply, and the results are they're broad. Sometimes you can just design something really well for someone, it hits the mark, and they will recommend you forever if you're lucky.
Yeah.
I think it just depends on the objective and what they want from it, and whether that happens.
Yeah, and you've just mentioned AI, and that was going to be my next question actually about
Right.
how that's affecting the world of marketing.
Yeah, well, it's had a huge negative impact on the agency landscape, I'd say. So
Mm.
I try not to call ourselves an agency too much just because we are small, we are flexible, and I don't really want people to have the kind of connotations that mean, oh, you're actually, if you're working with one of those, then that means that you're tied in forever and you can
Mm.
spend a fortune. We don't really like to be like that. But within my industry, whatever size, it's had a big hit. People are doing things for themselves.
Yeah.
They AI is a fantastic tool and it's only going to get better. And everyone is very slowly realizing that, oh, hang on, I can design something myself. I can write something myself. I can take all of this data and make a brilliant report myself. And so we do have to be a lot more considered on what we bring to a project and the human side of it and the
Mm.
creative side of
Yeah.
it, things that perhaps AI isn't quite there yet on.
Yeah. How much would an extra 10 hours a week be worth to you? As a busy business owner, it's likely you spend way too much time in the weeds, answering emails, firefighting, and juggling endless tasks instead of focusing on growth, strategy, and the work you actually enjoy. The problem isn't your time, the problem is your systems. At Do More Better, we help founders buy back at least 10 to 15 hours every week using smarter systems, AI, automation, without hiring the person you think you need. Imagine leaving work earlier, having more time for family, and growing your business with less stress and overwhelm. If you'd like to reclaim 10 to 15 hours every week, visit domorebetter.ie and access our free training today. Do more better. Reclaim your time. Scale your impact. So tell me about the Shake It Hub. What's that?
So this is a free offering that we've had since the very beginning. I very much wanted to be able to say to people, look, we want to be able to help you. I know that not everyone's going to have the money to start working with marketing professionals straight away. I felt like I was in a very privileged position because I'd had 6 years freelance. That had gone, really without a hitch.
Mm.
And then we didn't have to get any funding for the business. We just had to essentially brand ourselves and port our clients over. And that felt like quite a privilege. And I know how hard it is for some startups, especially if you're making a leap from full-time employment
Mm-hmm.
into running a business. It's a huge leap of faith. You've got to be very brave
Yeah.
and have a strong stomach for that. And I just wanted to be able to help people. So the hub really was formed as a drop-in so that people could come and just ask advice on whether it was, a press release, or how to fix something on their website perhaps, or how to make a marketing plan. And there were times where we would sit there in a room, we didn't have anyone. And there were
Hmm.
times where there's queues out the door. We had people coming down from London because there just wasn't the business support available for them at the time. And we're talking really about the days before the business and IP centre and the things that we've got now. And they just were so grateful to be
Hmm.
able to come down and get some free advice. And we got to meet loads of fabulous people too. So it was a win-win. And I've kept that running. Obviously, when COVID-19 hit, we did have to move it online.
Yeah.
So it's very much less in person now than it was. It was wholly in person
Hmm.
before. But it's there, and we've helped hundreds of people. I mean, I've helped hundreds of people. I'm really proud of it.
Yeah. Well, obviously that's an important part of your network. Um, was networking something that you did when you were employed?
Not when I was employed, actually. And there were industry events and there were, awards and things, but that wasn't my job, I guess, because I
Mm.
wasn't in sales or business development. I was in the marketing team and very much in the office unless we were doing an exhibition or something. So, no, I didn't then. But interestingly, when I went freelance, it was the very first piece of marketing that I did for myself.
Mm.
Once I was branded and running and I was looking for clients and I wanted to meet other businesses, that's what I did. I went and I visited our local Chamber of Commerce, and I just was brave and tried to integrate myself into conversations. And wow, it's another world and it's so valuable.
Yeah, yeah. So what kind of events do you go to now?
All sorts, but I would say that I'm very picky. So
Hmm.
I think in the beginning, you kind of feel like you should be going to everything that's offered to you,
Yeah.
and that's really exciting. But now my time is more precious, and so I'm a bit more selective. I do belong to our Chamber of Commerce, and that's very important to me. And so I try and go to as many of those things as I can because there's a real core of my network there.
Hmm.
But outside of that, I don't pay for any other networks. I dip in and out, and that's because there might be a speaker somewhere that I want to see on a particular month or talking about a certain topic that I can learn from, and therefore I'll pay to go to that because it's a good use of my time.
Yeah.
Or there might be an event somewhere else where it's going to give me access to people in a whole nother geographic area, or maybe one of our specialist industries. If it was a big charity focused event, then I could go and meet people and build my charity contacts, for example. I think I'm more wise about it as the years have gone on,
Hmm.
and considerate with my time. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And what has your business got out of networking?
I had the most amazing support network. When COVID hit and a lot of the e-commerce agencies were thriving because everyone was moving online and so they were so busy.
Mm.
When you were more of a generalist agency and more of a kind of a doing agency, it was a struggle. All the work was drying up, but
Mm.
I had this amazing network behind me, and we would meet online and we would talk to each other and support each other and recommend each other, and it just kept that almost face to face
Yeah.
thing going, because they were still there at the other side of my screen, and then were still there after everything returned to normal. And I think that over the years, I've built this huge network and it's brought so many opportunities. But for me, that moment really made it shine.
Hmm.
It said to me, okay, look, you have this here available to you, and you've built this through all the people you've met and talked to and connected with over the years. And when you really, really needed them the most, because I actually also went through a business partnership breakup during that time.
Mm.
So it was a very stressful, emotional time. And I was very glad to have people at the end of the phone who I'd only met through business, but I can now call my friends.
Yeah, yeah. And is networking something that you recommend to your clients?
Yeah, yeah. If they're not doing it already, and then I always say, how about doing some networking? And I think the more practical an industry someone is in, the less networking they do and the less it occurs to them,
Yeah.
weirdly. I mean, I know there are some networks out there that do have a lot of tradespeople, but from my experience, if I've been working on a marketing plan, they've either already considered it and they're already doing a lot of it, or it's completely off the radar, or it's not really in the middle.
Yeah.
So I will then recommend it and say, yeah, you should absolutely get out there and start talking to people, and don't expect to walk into a room and sell, because that's not what this is. This is
No.
very much relationship building, and you earn your credits,
Yeah. What would your best piece of networking advice be?
I think my best advice is to not overthink it, to not worry too much. I think you can walk into a room and it feels like everybody's in their little groups, and that you're going to be interrupting or infiltrating, this group of people that are already connected. I think that actually, if you're brave and you just start a conversation, or you just say, can I join you? Then it can lead to things, and everyone is very welcoming. It just looks like that on the surface.
Yeah.
So I'd say just get stuck in.
Yeah, I think you're right. And everyone's there for the same reason, and everyone's kind of in the same boat, really, aren't they?
They are. And I know that I do appreciate for some people it's extremely hard to be public facing and to be in a noisy room even. It's overwhelming for them. And so they will have to limit their time. But I just think that you shouldn't try and let yourself feel excluded. You've got to take the first step almost, and then you'll be welcomed with open arms.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's next for your business, Rachel?
Well, we've recently launched some packaged products. So it's basically productized services that you can buy online. So we could be working with people much further afield if they chose to do that. So that's quite exciting. And it's essentially a middle ground between the very cheap marketplaces with a lot of turnover, in between that and a full service agency. So it sits in the middle. It's a bit more off the shelf. You're still getting a personalized service, but you are also able to click and buy. So I'm hoping that will be good to make things more accessible for people, if they want a marketing plan or something like that.
Yeah.
So that's a recent thing we've done, but also very much just focusing on trying to do some more campaign work. I'd really like to do that, where we are given almost a problem to solve, and we've got to figure out how we're going to get this message out to the right people and drive the right results. And I very much enjoyed the local one we did in the public sector for that, and it would be nice to get some more of those. I think sometimes they do tend to go to the bigger agencies. But yeah, I get my teeth stuck into it. And this is, not a problem as such, but I've always been very much in the way of integrating myself with my clients. I'll champion their cause, or I'll check their products out. I don't want to just be I'll take your money person.
Yeah.
I want to become part of their business and really applaud them in what they're doing as well.
Yeah, part of their network.
Yeah, indeed.
So my final question then, Rachel, if people want to know more about you and your business, what's the best place for them to find you?
Yeah, well, we're all over social media. I mean, we couldn't not be, really, could we, as a marketing company? But I'd say that if you want to learn some things, then our Instagram is a brilliant place for you. And our blog, we've got over 100 articles. And our Instagram, we do very much try and teach people things and prompt those thoughts rather than just display our work. But I'm also, on LinkedIn. So if you want a Shake It Hub call, or you've got a brief that you'd like to send us, then yeah, I'm right here. You can find us. You can find our website quite easily. It's just shakeitupcreative.com.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much for being my guest today.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening to Small Business, Big Network. If you found this podcast useful, please do rate, review and subscribe. And don't forget to share it with the rest of your network too.